I'm here with the team behind Not Too Young. Guys, introduce yourselves.
I'm Alec Kubas-Meyer. I'm the writer, director, editor, star, producer.
Man about town.
Everything basically that Montana didn't do.
Yes, I was the director of photography or cinematographer, whichever you like. The composer, sometimes editor, corralling the cast, and generally trying to get shit under control.
Also, her name is Montana Yaro.
Yes, my name is Montana Yaro. I'm glad I definitely said that earlier.
Well, I've got to start with subject matter-wise. I was kind of blown away. I was like, what are we getting into? Of all the films, I think the most tense short of any of the shorts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What was it like coming up with this idea? Where did it come from? Alec, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, this is very much yours.
It came from a few different places. I had actually, I'd made a couple of martial arts movies, and I was like, you know what? And they were all really, really dark. And I was like, you know what? I want to do like a lesbian rom-com. Like that's what's next for me, a lesbian rom-com, because I'm not really funny, and I'm also not a lesbian, so I was like, okay, let's get out of my comfort zone, totally.
Then that never happened.
And I was like, I couldn't get into it, and then I read this article that was called, "You're 16, you're a pedophile, you don't want to hurt anyone, what do you do now?" And it just it horrified me, honestly.
Very difficult.
It's really hard to read. There's just some really disturbing imagery in it, but it was also so fascinating. This idea of a character, of a person who, has this desire to effectively be evil, but he rejects it and refuses to give into those baser instincts. And I have a lot of compassion for that person. I was unemployed at the time, and I was looking for something to do, and I knew that I could sort of pull it together, into it. I was like, okay, I think I want to do this as my movie. Okay, I can play this part. I know someone who can play this part. I have the perfect location. I can do this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, I think that, I can pull this off as an unemployed person.
And you took all of my vacation time, so I had just a ball of a time.
Yeah, basically.
It was great.
But yeah, and sort of it built from there. But we basically shot my original draft. I made a couple of slight tweaks, but it was pretty set from the beginning what the movie was going to be.
Well, did you have that specific apartment in mind? I mean, where did kind of that unemployed feel come into it? How did you?
We got lucky with that.
So the budget for this movie was about $600, and $400 of that was food and travel for the actors. I spent $200 on cameras. Everyone involved is a friend. Almost none of them had done film before. The cast and crew was 6 people total, combined. And so it was a very, very small thing. And that apartment is actually owned by my grandfather, and it's a really nice apartment. It's like, okay, production value. This is a nice place. It's gonna look.
Don't tell your grandfather what the film is about.
Yeah,
just
basically.
ask if you can use it.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was about trying to make something that looked as good as I could possibly make on as little money as possible. I was fortunate enough to have that apartment, and friends who are really talented.
Yeah, we would have not taken any friends in if we didn't think they were exceptional for the film. Because we're both very picky people, and we've worked together a lot, so we had the ability to look and be like, well, this person's very precious to us, but we are not putting them behind the damn boom because we're gonna just hear the cars outside. So it was a lot of the people around us, but very carefully selected.
Yes, that's true.
Well, I'm gonna ask Montana then, what was it like filming with the intimate moments of the laptop? I especially love those shots. The angle you guys choose. Why that choice? Was it just that's the way it's going to work, or what was that process for you in figuring out what you were going to shoot?
Right. Well, with that process, that had to be kind of practical because there's only so many ways you can angle a camera so you kind of see someone's head, but mostly see the screen well, because it's very small, and unless it's on a big screen, it's sometimes difficult to actually read the text.
Yeah.
So that was more a challenge with let's make sure we're getting that but still capturing an emotional place. And When it was on the other side, that was the only time that we actually had a stable thing to put it on, because I was crouched behind the table trying to hold it here and, hope I'd focused it right. And in post, Alec actually added shakiness to it because it looked so weird to have one stable, especially during such an emotional time.
It was too static. There's only one tripod shot in the entire movie, which is the last shot of the movie, and that shot, I imagine most people didn't notice, but it starts shaky and then it goes still, and then it starts to shake 2 seconds before it cuts to black, and everything else was done handheld, but because Montana had to, sort of sit like that, the image was just too still, and I was like, nope. So I just threw it into After Effects, like wiggle.
That was the only time though. I got great shaky hands.
Well, not only that, but mirrors, the revolving around the mirrors, that whole. When you come into the apartment, that shot particularly, can you talk about shooting that and just the feel of the flow of it, I guess, if you will.
Right. Well, the first shot is a long shot. It's, was it a minute and 12?
A minute 60, something like
that. A minute 60. So we couldn't mess that up at any point. So even if we were at a minute 10, if I was accidentally reflecting off one of a lot of picture frames or in the mirror, we went back. And
I had to rewind it just to let y'all know, just to see if I could see. Y'all never do have it.
Yeah. I wish I could show you physically the amount of kind of squatting, trying to keep it level, turning really quickly. In the beginning, we didn't realize before we started shooting that there was also a mirror in the closet. And we were like, yes, this is the best thing ever.
Everyone's gonna think I'm a genius for putting this mirror here.
And then we went, oh God, now we have to work with another mirror and not be in it. And whenever I watch that film, there's still a part of me that goes like, oh no, I'm gonna see a finger on a camera in there, and I never do. And I just remember the crazy experience of trying to shimmy around without losing the actual feel of it.
We didn't have a shot list for the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
We came up with it basically as we were doing it. No storyboards, no shot list, and I was stressing out about. So in my mind, once people got to the main character putting his hand down his pants and it cutting to the title, I figured that was when they're either with it or they're out. But I needed people to get there. And it was like, okay, well, it opens with the dude walking in, and he takes off his jacket, and if it's like cut, it's like that's boring. That's not gonna get people interested. But if we do this whole thing in one take, if we introduce the character, we also introduce his apartment in this single motion.
Yeah, there's personality there's character that seeps in.
Yeah, and I figure people will give me till the end of the first shot to decide if they're in or not. And so it was like this sort of practical consideration as well as everything else. This is how I think I can hook people by making this this one take thing, and we did it I think 18 times.
At least.
Wow.
Yeah. The shot that Montana's in we did 35 times.
I'm not very good at rolling my eyes. Apparently.
What camera? Do you mind if I ask?
We used an A7S.
Okay.
I would like
not
to
too heavy. I was wondering.
I'm 5'3" and 110.
That's what I was curious.
So
I actually shot the part that she was in because she was sick, and her just like,
I don't
okay,
know if
Montana,
it was food poisoning,
slide
but it was awful. And the person who was supposed to act as that character bailed on us.
Yeah. So it was like,
wow.
And we already
Montana,
have a small cast, and it involves somebody basically laying on a bed and then being judgmental. And I'm like, I'm good at both of those things. So it's just me being sick and trying to be like a shitty roommate, and I roll my eyes, which I never got well enough for Alex. So we went through eye rolling.
No, it was actually mostly my fault. I didn't get the focus to do what I wanted.
Oh, I love hearing that now. I wish you'd said it then.
But yeah, I mean,
I've got to ask. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but
I'm better for it.
Google searching. That did you clean your computer? Is that an issue?
How many flags and lists are we on?
So that's interesting. So
because you're looking up that stuff.
We did think about this. We did. Every time we were like, another watch list, another watch list, another watch list.
Yeah. So
do we Google I'm really not a hebephile. I'm sorry. This is for a film. I know you won't believe, but it's a film. Please don't be sad.
So I didn't do any research beyond reading that initial article, and I because I knew if I did, I would get so upset that I would just not make it.
Yeah.
and since it's come out, or since I finished it last June. The whole Jared thing
How long
happened
did
from Subway.
the process fully take? Like a couple of months?
5 months.
Yeah.
It took 2 months from conception to shooting, and then it was another couple months
Post.
to edit it. The Jared thing happened. A guy from Glee got caught with child pornography, and like every time that happened, I was just like, why did I even put myself into this? Like, it really upsets me on like a really deep level.
It was the worst hipster moment. It was like, we did it before it was cool, and it's just like, no, we don't want this.
Yeah. Like I wish this movie wasn't relevant. I genuinely do. But because I didn't, go in too far, I'm sure I was on watch lists already. I don't know that I'm on any new ones.
Yeah, I think prior to the film.
I mean, that said, one thing, there were 2 details that were lost because the camera just didn't capture them. One of them
it's really tough with the screen.
One of them was the fact that all of the links, except for the Not Too Young website, had been previously clicked before. They were all purple. It just that didn't show up, unfortunately, on camera. The other one is the overhead shot in the bed. His arms are covered in scars.
It's happened multiple times.
And he'd just been, and so the reason he wears long shirts all the time is because his arms are riddled with scars. And
I spent so long carefully applying white eyeliner. I also do special effects for a lot of the other films, so I'm like, this is my moment. I don't get to do it somewhere else, and I don't see a damn thing.
Yeah, if it's there, you can see like a couple here, but that was kind of my only regret. It's like, I wish we'd been able to capture that, but
part of the character.
We didn't have a chance to do any reshoots.
Well, you say it's not relevant, but I felt like the fact that we're seeing the curtain pushed back from a character that potentially is very sympathetic, and the fact that we don't have this judgment of him immediately until we see. Now, if we'd seen that shot, that may have changed our judgment. But we also get to see the other side of it, the young girl playing that character. We don't necessarily see, I love her shot when she's talking to herself in the mirror. I think that was so powerful.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, but that is so creepy, but yet that's the whole point of the movie.
We were so freaked out on set with her.
But it must have been weird, yeah.
It was we were like, we have to stop. Let's have some pad thai and then go again.
Yeah.
And then she's back, and we're just like, I know you too well, and you're doing a great job, and that's upsetting.
I was thinking about this the other day, actually, that, part of this festival, the big question is, what does a woman bring to a film? Having a woman behind the camera, behind the piano, in this case. And I was thinking that the most explicit example of something that a woman did that a man I don't think would do is the music that plays during that scene. It has this sort of romantic, almost wistful thing, and I cannot imagine a man looking at that scene and coming up with that music. I think they would think it's creepy or whatever, the way I think it's creepy. I'm really happy with what that music was, and I'm really happy with how that scene came out. And I think it's important to give her perspective. A lot of these movies that at this festival and elsewhere that feature sex workers, the point is that sex work is bad and evil.
Yeah,
they have
the griminess and the drugs, and it's only that.
And it's judging these people, and the roommate judges her, but it's a playful thing. It's not. It's not you're discussing. It's okay, good job, go away. Typical roommate stuff. And that was important. That no one is getting judgment from the film itself and from the filmmakers.
That would entirely invalidate the whole point.
These are people, and they might do things that we find problematic, things that bother us. But there are sex workers, there are hebephiles. We as a society have to deal with that, and that's sort of what the film is about. It's look, this is the thing that happens. How we have to acknowledge it, we have to accept it, and we really have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I wanted to do.
And not everyone is committing crime.
Yeah.
I'm a social worker, so I deal with all sorts of people who feel just innately a horrible way and are like, I can't do this, I live my life and I'm unable to be a normal person. And I think it's really important to look at those people and be like, that's something that's worthy of respect. And no one else is going to look at that and be like, oh, this hebephile character, you know, good on them, because that's not always the takeaway.
Yeah.
But there's definitely an element of respecting the people who really try and keep themselves in line, because they're living in hell.
Yeah, but there's it was kind of scary to make this movie because it's impossible to know how people are going to react, and like, you know, putting it out there is like, it's like looking into like a whale's blowhole, and
might be the best segue I've ever heard.
Right? It's like and really hoping that it's not going to come and hit you in the face. Like, you know,
That's so sexual and yet not. It's amazing.
That's our film. So sexual and yet not.
You know, it's
we
just
try
like,
and frisbee between those two.
Yeah, it was really scary, honestly. Like, after it was done, you know, I had no idea how people were going to react to it. And I mean, the reaction has really been like across the board positive, and that's, you know, that's been really
very surprised.
Nice to
hear.
It's
been great.
But, you know, there was like this trepidation, like as we were making it before, when I didn't tell a lot of my friends. Like, you know, it was a small group. You know, maybe 15, 20 people knew that this project was happening.
And not all
before it
of
was
them
gone.
knew the depth of it.
Yeah,
they were like,
I'm making a movie.
Alec and Montana are doing a creepy thing. Who knows how it'll turn out?
You know, and
that's fair of them to assume.
Yeah,
we've done that before.
But you know, it worked out. You know, looked into the blowhole and nothing happened. It was good.
Well, that kind of leads to my last question then. Where does this film go from you guys? Like, is there capability of even expanding this? I mean, and making an educational element to it? I mean, or is it just kind of a start piece to something bigger? I mean, what do you hope this film does for you guys then?
I think you should be the one.
I mean, honestly, so this is the end of the characters first. I'm concerned, like, I don't see this becoming a big thing. I have my next several things in my head already.
And I'm editing all of the scripts for those.
Yeah, that's
more martial arts, I hope.
No, the next one is a home invasion film. Followed by an even more depressing drama.
Don't give it away.
I'm just saying it's more depressing.
Yeah. I just want to drag anyone who's happy into the dirt of artistic sadness.
I have this in my mind. I want to make like a suffering trilogy, and Not Too Young is the first part, and it only goes downhill from there.
Like our careers after we make these films.
I think that's the best way to end it right there. Guys, thank you so much for bringing the film.
Thank you.
I was really blown away by it.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you guys.